If I had told you 10 years ago that half of the United States Supreme Court would believe that men could get pregnant, you probably would have said I was insane. And yet, here we are. For the last decade, it seemed like there was no stopping the woke train. If you had a problem with your 13-year-old daughter being forced to share a locker room with a boy, the sort of thing that any typical human being would have a problem with, well, now I guess you're just a transphobic bigot. And then all of a sudden, just like that, champions of woke like AOC are suddenly removing their pronouns from their bio, and the left is shifting their arguments away from trans and other woke issues to economic ones. But why? I mean, what exactly happened to make some of the strongest champions of woke get a little quieter about those issues? Now, one could chalk it up to Donald Trump's historic and overwhelming victory in 2024. And to be sure, that was definitely considered to be a repudiation of the left in general, but wokeism specifically. And when we dig into the numbers a little bit deeper, we also realize that Trump didn't just win soundly. He made huge gains with certain populations, specifically black men, Hispanic men, young men. Are we seeing a pattern here? Polling seems to consistently show that male voters, and especially younger male voters, are abandoning the Democrat Party in droves. It has become so obvious that Democrats have finally admitted to their problem with young men. Of course, admitting a problem and knowing what to do about it are two very different things. And to prove my point, the Democrats' first attempt to really reach out to young male voters was to spend $20 million and hire her as their ambassador to the manosphere. You can imagine how that went over. But what the left fails to recognize is that woke doesn't require a makeover or a better ambassador. There's actually no saving it in the long run. Wokeism was always going to fail for two very simple reasons. One, wokeism is a manifestation of critical theory politics in the sense that it bifurcates everyone into oppressor and oppressed populations. And wokeism requires an enemy, and they made their enemy men. So essentially half the population. But it actually went a step further by turning every single mental health issue into a fundamental identity. The more mental health issues you had, the higher you ranked on the intersectionality scale. Now, what does that mean? Well, you created the most dysfunctional revolutionaries in all of human history and chose men as your enemy. Now, I don't know if the left has noticed, but it's actually really hard to fight a revolution, seize the means of production, eat the rich, or whatever other leftist Marxist slogan you are trying to carry out without the help of men. Wokeism, whatever it claims in theory, is in practice little more than a firm commitment to treating people who embrace mental health disorders, real or imagined, as if they are the most important members in all of society. But here's the deal. They're not. At least not if you want something that actually works. The whole charade began to unravel as soon as more men realized that they could literally undo all of this by simply ignoring and disregarding it. Oh, you're offended by my refusal to call you by your pretend pronouns. Tough. What are you going to do? Complain to the dean of the university that the guy can't even get into because of his sex and skin color? Are we really supposed to believe that the people who lose their crap the moment someone misgenders them on their latte are suddenly going to rise up and impose their will by force? Not to mention the fact that recent studies are showing that the whole act of identifying as trans or bi or non-conforming or a kitten is declining steadily as people recognize this for what it is. A rebellion not against some sort of evil, corrupt system, but a rebellion against nature itself. The saddest part of this is that in this particular case, thousands of children who were chemically and surgically altered, many for life, in the pursuit of an ideological trend, which will one day be seen as one of the most absurd and bizarre cases of social contagion in world history. So does this mean that woke is officially dead? No, probably not. But it's not ever going to be able to win. And the reason why is simple. It's not just a rebellion against normality, it's a rebellion against reality. And more than that, it has chosen to make its chief enemy the very people you need to fight rebellions, i.e. young men, while championing the very people that are not capable of really running anything because their entire identity is rooted in a complete break with reality.